We're on, guys. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the September 18th Unionville Town Board meeting. We'll start out with a pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice. Thank you. Okay, we'll approve the minutes from 8/7/2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I had a couple late items come in that I'd like to add to the agenda, please. And they are noted on the agenda this time. We've had a request for facilities rental. What I'd like to make is B under new business. And then we talked about the resolution for, or actually we talked about full-time hours, but never did a resolution. And I have a resolution for that under old business as D. If we could add that too, please.
Sure.
A motion to amend the,
So moved.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I've been working on the budget and I'm going to be meeting with the department heads going over that and the accountant. Should have something ready for the board to review by the end of the month. This past weekend, we hosted Oktoberfest. I think everybody had a great time. I wanted to thank all of our employees at Parks and Recreation and the volunteers that helped out as well, that made that a great success. And that's the extent of what I have. Councilman Welsh.
Probably the biggest thing I did was volunteer for the day on Sunday for the Oktoberfest, which went well.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Carlemi.
Short report that I've been reviewing the code for some of the code discussion we're gonna have later on this evening.
Okay, Councilman Derlin.
Nothing to report, thank you.
All righty. Councilman McGivney.
I'd like to say I stopped by the highway garage the other day to see the machines we purchased from Dutchess County. Looks like we got a good deal on them. Both pieces were in great shape. I think with a little work and maintenance performed on them, they should provide us with years of good service. And I believe these were good acquisitions that we made, and our town highway super made. Secondly, I'd like to report also, as Steve said, Oktoberfest was a great success, great event, brought the community together. I want to say thank you to all our town staff members and volunteers who came out and stepped up to make this great event possible. We couldn't have done it without you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Town clerk report.
Thank you. Just a reminder to residents and everyone in the community, we're having the Habitat Donation Day on Saturday, September 21st from 9 to 3. So that'll be at the Unionville Recycling Center. And then we also have an upcoming horse show at the Equestrian Center on September 29th, which is also a Sunday. It's a fall and English Western open horse show. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go back a minute. I forgot to read the financial report. In our general checking account, we have $1,050,045. In our general savings, we have 4,819. In our miscellaneous receipts, we have 310,197. In our general money market fund, we have 168,368. In general New York class, we have 2,609,118,000. And in New York class, ARPA fund, we have 262,714. This is the balances on 8/31. They have gone down since we started paying the bills for the roofers, exactly. In highway checking, we have 331,543. Highway savings is 102,217. Highway money market is 45,539. Highway New York class is 70,007. And new account that I put the grant money for the West Clove Mountain Bridge in is at 579,721. That's in New York class. And then a New York class reserve, highway reserve fund is 147,811. The grand total is $5,683,097 in assets. Highway superintendent report.
Close to finish Blueberry Drive. Piping in, vegetation. Curveballs, throw atoms, that. Residents need to know that we are planning on paving that by the 1st of October. Also, the residents need to know that we did inject Portland cement into the road. The road is a dirt road at this point, so it's going to be dusty. Our crew is going to go up every couple of days and keep the concrete and top coat moist, so it's limit on the dust. So bear with us. You will have a nice road when we're done. Our contractor came back and put a new roof on our new roof at the back building at the shop. The engineer signed off on it. It looks great. I'm pretty pleased with the way that came out. The day-to-day stuff, we're still mowing roadsides, weed whacking, changing out signs, filling potholes, etc. If there's anything that the residents see or need, please let me know and take care of it as quickly as we can. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Recreation Department.
So this past Sunday, our Parks and Rec team enjoyed hosting the annual Oktoberfest. It was a beautiful day, beautiful weather, and a fun day that would not have been possible without the help of our town board, staff, volunteers, working tirelessly all day long, from like 11 to 7:30, 8 o'clock. So thank you to everyone who helped out. Special thanks to East Fishkill Provisions for providing delicious German food, Alpine Squeeze and Germania Almrausch for traditional music and dancing, Duchess Beer Distributor, Teddy for the beer and various drinks, John Green from Millhouse Brewery for pouring drinks and emceeing our new bratwurst toss, our snack food vendors, Donuts for Days, The Baker's Wife, and Bark and Barrel. A final thank you to everyone who attended and participated in our games and raffle contests, and our team looks forward to doing it all again next year. Our full and half day TGTT program dates for the 2024-2025 school year is officially open for registration. Students K through 5th can enjoy their time off at Time War Park with their friends, playing games, making crafts, hiking the trails, and theme days. More information and registration can be found on the Parks and Recreation website. Moving forward, along with running annual programming, I plan to continue to meet and work with seasonal heads of staff as well as the town supervisor to discuss the budget for 2025. That's all I have.
Well, thank you very much. Councilman Welsh, would you like to read the Parks report?
Sure. Okay, Parks report for 9/18/24. Oktoberfest was this past Sunday and went well, thanks to all the employees and volunteers that helped out during the event, to the park staff for all the preparations to make the event possible. The final event of the year at the Equestrian Center is on Sunday, September 29th, and an event put on by Mid-Hudson Driving Association will take place this Saturday. Fall is almost here, and the leaves have already started falling from some of our large trees. We'll be cleaning them up and working hard to keep trails clear of them and other debris that accumulate. We'll be winterizing and covering the pool and kiddie pool soon before it gets filled with leaves.
Thank you. Councilman Carlemi, would you like to read the animal control, please?
No problem. Animal control report for the month of August 2024. During the month of August, there were no lost dogs, 3 found dogs, 1 taken to the town animal shelter, but all 3 eventually reunited with their owners. There's 1 call for assistance from the New York State Police to capture a potentially rabid fox. After being sent to the state lab, the fox was not rabid. Respectfully submitted, Mary Jane Cow.
Thank you. Are you here for the library report? You're up.
Good evening, board and town. Thank you. My name is Jonah Ritter. And on behalf of the other trustees, I want to thank you for letting me share some library updates. I apologize, I'm under the weather here. The library has installed an interactive Promethean board to be used for presentations and providing additional programming. If you haven't seen this device, I encourage you to go have a look at the library. It can be used by others in the town, organizations. It's quite a cool device. And I think it'll be an asset to the community. Upcoming programs are College 101 with Stephanie Moreau on Wednesday, September 26th at 6:30 p.m. And please join me for Journaling for a Better Life on Saturday, September 28th at 12 p.m. You can email director at UV Library if you'd like to attend or have questions. If you haven't visited our website, it's at uvlibrary.org. It is filled with a lot of useful links to various resources that are free to our residents. Many of the ones you would have been accustomed to getting as in the past. And again, it is available for free. You can access information regarding our programs, hours, and other resources that way. It is also linked to the town to the new website. So we encourage residents to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You'll see what's coming up that way too, get alerts. We still, of course, could use volunteers. So if you or your team have a teen that's interested, please email our director. With school back in session, if you know a child who is being homeschooled, we're looking to put together make it a meeting place for parents who are homeschooling and their children. It is good for them to get together with one another. So again, email the library director at uvlibrary.org and we'll coordinate a time if you have an interest. We have interviewed several strong candidates for a full-time library manager position. We hope to introduce a new manager soon. Karen Foley is going to continue to support the library to ensure a new transition to this new person. As always, if you have not gotten your library card yet, stop in at the library or email the director or link on the library services tab of the website. Thank you again.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items. Anyone? Okay, thank you. I did neglect to add or ask for one more amendment. It came in late this afternoon. The Board of Elections has made a request here, and I'd like to entertain that tonight, if you would. In a motion to speak about that.
Get added under new business.
Yeah, so I'll cover that first, so I don't forget it.
I'll make the motion.
There's a second on
I'll
that?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The Board of Election contacted us and they had previously scheduled early voting to be at another facility and have lost access to that facility. They've asked to use our senior center to do early voting, which starts at the end of October. And just wanted to get your approval on that if you're in approval of it.
Got to interfere with any of the programs that go on down there.
I don't believe that recreation, do you have any programs in there that would,
It's the 26th through the 3rd.
yeah. I think, did you check with Stephanie?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely check the
Stephanie
rental
said
calendar.
that it wouldn't be an issue. Right. Yeah, that, it would be either there or here in the meeting room. You know, and he has seen photos of the senior center and.
Yeah, we've had it here before. It's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah,
As long as it doesn't interfere with anything, that's my only concern.
Right.
Why not? Yeah.
so entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion that we say yes to their request.
okay, second on that? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I may have mentioned this at a previous meeting, but I wanted to make sure that I have spoken with you about it. The our assessor had approached me, and apparently the state recommends that we have an assessment about every 10 years.
Yeah.
And our last assessment was in 2003. So over 20 years.
21 years.
Yeah. he estimated that the cost of doing that would be in the area of $50,000. Something I'm gonna look at when putting the budget together, but I just wanted to give you a heads up, this could
Did
be
he
in front
say
of us.
what's the consequences if you don't do it?
I don't know that there are, well, challenges is what it amounts to. There could be challenges to the assessments on grievance day,
Okay,
more so than, you know.
because this is just another unfunded state mandate. as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
No, I agree with you 100%. The whole taxation system is,
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I think what
Yeah.
happens is at some point, they might come in and do their own assessment, and it probably would not work out to our benefit. I know that's what they do with the school taxes.
And they would pay for it if they did it?
They might pay for it, but I don't know if it'd be favorable to our residents.
Yeah, okay, well,
And they might bill us for it. I
It's
don't
an
know
ugly
the details of
situation.
that, but it is, it is, but, I just wanted to give you a
all right,
heads up
thanks for
on
the
that.
heads up.
We can talk about it further, but I
All
just
right.
wanted to get it on our radar.
I think it'd be good for them to come give us a presentation on exactly what it entails, maybe for the residents to know too.
I can ask for that.
You know,
Yeah.
so we all have an understanding of
Right.
where it could go, what it could lead to, so,
Yeah, it's not something we have to do tomorrow.
yeah.
It could be. Yeah, why don't you guys send me a list of questions you might have,
Okay,
and I can
good.
send them up to Association of Towns and see if we can get some answers,
Great idea.
okay? Okay, I mentioned to you earlier in the week that we got a facility rental request from the Calvary Chapel. It's in your packet there.
Yeah,
They've agreed to all the terms that we have for a group of that size. It's between 300 and 350 people they expect. And that would require town board approval. The recreation department doesn't have any conflicts with this. And,
yeah,
just,
hope you have good weather.
yeah. Well, I think that's the reason they rented the halls as well as the pavilions, in case the weather was poor. So, I guess I'd entertain a motion to accept their application. And, send back an approval to them.
Make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
It says on here that they're a town resident. They don't have any name on it.
Well, Jonah is a member of that church I was told. He's a town resident. I'm sure there's
Oh, all
others.
right, well, usually the name is on the application.
Yeah.
Okay,
All righty. Okay, old business. We spoke about the tax collector late mailing fee last month.
yeah,
And there had been some question on whether there might be a maximum. And I started doing my research, and our town clerk came across the information
I was lucky
and
to
sent it to
be
me.
in a
Yeah.
meeting with you.
Unfortunately, the state does regulate the increase to a maximum of $2.
well, that's what we're looking at anyway, right?
Well, we were looking at closer to 10
Oh,
to
okay.
cover our administration expenses as well. But yeah, the maximum is $2. I don't think that actually covers the expense, but
Probably not.
it is what it is at this point. So the town clerk put together a resolution here for me to that effect. And if there's any other questions. If not, I'd like to go forward with the resolution. Councilman Derlin, do you want to read that? Sorry about that. I got it right here. Got it?
Resolution. For that, establishing a second. The tax collection. Whereas the town board may adopt a resolution. $2 to be added to taxes. to cover the cost of mail.
Pay taxes under real property law, section 987 1. And whereas this charge becomes a part of the total amount due and cannot be waived, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby imposes a fee of $2 to be added to the tax due on all properties for which a second notice is sent in April of each year.
Have a second on that?
I'll second.
And roll call vote, please.
Councilman Bartolome,
Yes.
Councilman Welsh.
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier.
Yes,
Councilman McGivney.
Aye.
Councilman Derland.
Yes.
thank you very much. Okay, we've discussed several times possible amendments to the RD 10 town code to allow a wedding venue. I have here a resolution of introduction that we, would suggest what we would like to do with it. And basically what it's going to do is eliminate the
Conference.
conference. It's going to take conference center out of the code and introduce the catering facility. And the catering facility would include a wedding venue and that sort of thing. There's some entries that we need to make here tonight in order for this to be accepted for the public hearing that's going to be required, which I'd like to schedule tonight. If you're on page 2, and I'm not sure what it is, but on line A there, the 50 acres. Currently, it's set at 100 acres. We felt that 50 might be an acceptable number. What we did in addition to that is put setback restrictions so that it couldn't be a long, narrow lot at 50 acres and would still allow some privacy to the neighboring lots. So you'll see those setbacks further into the resolution here, yeah.
Yeah, 200 feet.
So,
setback.
just want to make sure that, is there any disagreement with that 50 acres?
No, and I think that there's also a 13 is also requiring screening as well.
Right, let's just
So-
do these one by one so that we make sure.
Yeah,
Again,
so I'm just saying, so that addresses also the
Right,
50 acres,
right.
if it is on a piece of property that's next to a home, there will be screening.
Right. So let's drop down to number 5. The suggested amount was 4,000 square feet. It's something we can start with, or
So that's dining
more
and bar
comfortable with
facilities.
5,000 square feet. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that seems low to me, 4,000 for a dining
For
and
a
bar
facility.
facility.
Right. You're more comfortable with 5,000? Or what would you suggest?
I mean, on 50 acres, I think 4,000 seems super low.
Right.
A house on 50 acres. 4,000 square feet is probably small.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to go way too big to make this thing a massive facility, but I mean,
4,000 is tiny.
8,000 is doubling it, obviously. I don't know if they're looking for, 150 to 200 people, which is, probably a standard wedding. Including kitchens
Right,
and storage areas, and
So
all
you
that
want
stuff.
to, you
From the
said
fire department. know
8
that
would be
calculation?
doubling it. Do you want to go halfway between 6,000?
Does anybody from the fire department know the calculation for occupancy in a?
I don't.
Don't know offhand.
124 allowed in here.
Yeah,
How
what-
big this building is.
That's what I was looking to see. It's just this room.
Yeah, it's in this room.
I don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to go up to 6,000 maybe?
That might be more reasonable.
Yes. Over 75%.
Probably
6,000 will change that too.
5 by 75.
So 5,600 square feet.
And Jeff, you feel free to jump in if you think there's
Well,
something.
is there a
we
way
need-
to add?
Yeah, I will. It's a legal issue.
Okay,
Is there a way to add like discretion instead of saying
I think
to
that
and then
each
become-
case is gonna come under scrutiny with the, special permit process.
Yes, but is there a way to, for the town board to, if they don't like something, you know what I'm saying? Well, because if you don't like the project and they're, proposing a 10,000 square foot building, say, and you want less, this is the Jeff question,
Well, so, I mean,
or is it just up to and you just gotta go with it, as long as you meet the rest of the criteria, the special use permit?
CBA for an area variance, but I think that the max is set by the town. It's clear. And that's the max.
Right, that's what that's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I mean, up to is probably better wording.
Yeah.
And then the planning board then has the discretion based on the property and the plan to say, hey, no, we think, 5,000 is more adequate for this property. We think 4,000. So I think if we change the language to,
Yeah.
up to,
Makes sense.
Or leave it at 4,000 and take out shall.
yeah, I mean, then it leaves some discretion. May,
Shall's the be all end all.
yeah, it's the word, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it says the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd rather say, all right.
I'm sorry,
I'd rather see clear language, not exceed.
that pretty much says the same thing that they just mentioned, correct?
Well,
Then let's bump it up.
Councilman Durham, say the word shall.
No, I was just trying to give discretion to the planning board. But I know what you're saying.
Well, he was suggesting up to a certain number, which I think is
It is
basically the same
shall,
thing
but
in
shall
different
is
words.
always-
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, okay,
So we're gonna go up to 6,000 square feet.
okay.
You guys feel like that's,
Reasonable.
No, no.
It's pretty good.
Yes, I suppose we could come
But
back.
don't forget,
again.
the
that-
bigger the facility, the bigger the parking you need.
Right,
Dining and bar.
okay, so number 7 is the
Dining
setbacks.
and bars.
That, again, I mentioned would give,
Yeah.
assure the neighboring properties some privacy away from the facility. Do you feel that's reasonable? In addition to the buffering, like you had mentioned.
so 200 feet from the property line and 500 feet from it. So those are two clear, concise things so the planning board knows, even if the house is, on 100 from the property line, the building still needs to be an additional 200 feet away. It's not the 200-foot setback doesn't apply, it's further away, so.
The 500-foot setback. is-
Yeah, the
that
500,
is
so it's even
far.
further. I mean, on 50 acres, you should easily be able to do that.
Yeah, very easily.
So
That is far though.
Well,
That's the.
that's from the neighboring residents.
I understand that, but accessory structures, so if you have little houses or something that you're trying to keep away from the structure.
That would be part of this project and that would apply.
No, it says.
That's the neighbor.
Neighboring, yeah.
No, I know that, but I'm saying these setback requirements shall apply to all structures. So if you have
Right.
an accessory structure as part of that facility, such as a little cabin, and you wanted that away from the main facility where it wouldn't generate the noise, 500 feet is far. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, the 500 feet doesn't apply there. If it's 500 feet from the neighboring resident.
Right. But if you, a lot of times, those are gonna be the main facility be more centralized, I would
Right.
think, and the other ones will be getting closer and closer to the property line.
I would like to protect the neighbors as much
Yeah,
as I can.
I'm just saying,
You know,
500
because
is pretty far.
it is gonna be controversial. And if we put enough protection in it. I understand what you're saying, but I think we have lots in here that are big enough to
Okay.
allow.
I'm just
for-
throwing it out
Yeah.
there.
And you
Um,
want a nice result.
right, and, one that everybody can live with. So the next line there is a minor change to what it reads currently. That the guest rooms can be provided individual, attached, or may be part of the main facility. And I think later on, you'll see a limit as to the number of those lodging facilities that can be there.
yeah, I think it makes sense. A lot of catering, wedding venues now have cabins or places for the wedding party to stay, and that's what seems to be the flow of everything nowadays. So
It seems to be what makes them attractive.
yeah, so that's why this is included in there.
Right. Everybody in agreement with that?
Are attached structures, are those part of the square footage?
Yeah. so, square footage. That would take.
Back to number 5, with number 8, you part of the square footage of number 5.
I believe that's written.
Well, this says all dining bar facilities, including kitchens and storage, shall not exceed. It doesn't say anything about lodging on that line.
I agree, again.
Jeff, your
throwing it out
opinion?
there.
Sorry, say that again, number 3.
The question is whether the lodging facilities would be included in the 6,000 square feet that we set.
If they are, especially particularly if they are attached structures. to the
But they're
main-
not specifically mentioned in number 5.
To the catering.
5 says the maximum floor area of dining and bar facilities, including kitchen and storage, that's it.
Right. So
I'm just making
the
sure.
way the
I'm
law
just throwing
works,
it
if
out
it's
there.
not set, if it's not stated, it doesn't apply. At least that's been my understanding.
I'm just saying, there's room for argument.
Yeah.
Probably one way or the other.
So I mean, we could add to the end of add to end of 5.
That could be an addition. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, we could just clarify and add at the end of the 5, any lodging facilities attached are not calculated in the square footage, to be clear and concise.
I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look to myself.
Clearer it is, the better.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to misinterpret.
Okay, did we all decided number 8 that we're okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay. Next page. Right. This line is in place for the facility not to become a public restaurant.
Mhm.
That the only food that they're serving is to their guests during the catering events. Which is, I think, what we're after,
yeah, makes sense.
okay?
12 is a
Number 12, I had,
it's a repeat of 6, just like.
is it?
Yep.
Huh. Catch that. That's,
Very good.
okay. I'm questioning whether a facility like this should be on a town road at all.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Okay, again, that was my thought.
Do
So
we
they
have
should,
questions on
we'll
that?
just eliminate that last part, and we'll cross out number 6.
Okay,
Is that the end of the world though? Like, say Brush Hill, say like, JD Noel wanted to put a facility there. Down Brush Hill Road, is that the end of the world?
they got 50 acres?
Just saying, if they did, I'm just saying like, for example, a facility like that,
They have the entrance on the county road.
if they didn't though, I mean, it just,
I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but we need to put some protections in here for our residents.
yeah,
That's the idea behind it. I mean,
Yeah, I think we want to push the entrances towards Dane County Road.
right,
highways.
because they're the ones that already have the traffic on.
Right.
Exactly, and if there is an instance, Kevin, where there's a facility like that, I mean, they could always go to the ZBA for a variance on that.
mhm.
And I think that's something that the ZBA should look at, because like you said, Shady Knolls, it's a road that is a town road, but,
Be the very first,
Right,
it'd be the very first thing on the road.
and I think that'd be an
If they
easy
wanted to use
variance for somebody at the ZBA to look at.
Can we go back to 11B?
Sure.
Is that too restrictive? They wanted to have like something besides like a wedding,
Well, it wouldn't be,
or do they just have?
in a catering, it's a catering facility,
Name
any
anything
event they have.
Yeah, I mean, they could have,
That's what I would do.
they could have a, what do they do? They could have sweet 16s, they could have, they could throw
Bridal
other
shower.
bridal, they
Yeah.
could throw other events. I think that, I understand what you're saying. People could just say it's an event. Hey, it's a restaurant night out, and
That's
then
what I'm
use
saying.
that as a way to open. But I mean, I think, and it'll be tough to police that, but I think, we're hoping that people are gonna come with these applications or coming
Yeah.
in with good intentions.
Again, throw it out there.
I think it's a good point to bring up though.
Yeah, I just want to say, before we were concerned that people were going to start building conference center in a residential area because of the way our code was set up. And that's what we're trying to prevent at this point. A lot of our RD10 properties are suitable for this
Yeah.
type of facility, but we don't want to infringe upon the people in residential areas. I think that's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah.
So with number 12, I'm just gonna eliminate everything after county highway. Does that work for you?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, the rest of it is the resolution.
Yeah.
So just one quick point that I want to bring up. Living across from the links, I deal with this often. Weddings bring fireworks. And there's no notification to neighbors about fireworks. So
I think that would require a permit.
I would think so, and I don't know if our permit, and I don't remember seeing it, requires some sort of notice to resident to neighboring
Maybe we
properties.
gotta change it.
That's what I'm bringing up, because the other night there were fireworks going off at 9:30 at night at the links.
I couldn't figure out where they were coming from.
Yeah,
I
they're-
heard them, but I couldn't figure out where they were
Because
coming
they shine in my windows, that's
All
why,
right.
I know exactly where they're coming from. So they were going off, and, I think that is something that needs to be addressed in this code with events and fireworks.
You're
from.
absolutely right.
I think that should probably be part of our general code rather than this one specifically.
Yeah,
And I think that is something we should look at. Yeah,
that's very bad for animals too.
yeah, no, we heard that.
Yeah, I mean, on the 4th of July, obviously, we know there's nothing you can do, but when we have these events and these
Right.
uses that we can lease
Yeah,
that,
we don't
you
need
know,
all
I
this
think
stuff.
we definitely need to look into that, because if we're gonna start, obviously, we can minimize anything we want with setbacks and all that stuff, but if they start setting off fireworks, there's nothing we can do unless we do something in the code for it.
Okay, so this is the resolution of well, let's make a motion here to accept the resolution as amended.
There's a point out with that, is that I think the very last page, number 5. is
Well, yeah, should be, yeah.
Still approved.
Yeah. Let's fix that.
It'll be a public meeting. It'll
Yeah,
come
we're
to a
gonna
public hearing.
schedule a public hearing for this whole thing before it's changed. Tonight's action is just to accept the resolution proposal and then schedule a public hearing where everybody can come in and state their feelings on it.
Oh, one of the things, Steve, I know you mentioned about the number of guest rooms. You said it was somewhere in here. So,
Yeah, I thought it was. I spoke with him earlier about
the
it.
maximum of guest rooms will not exceed 4, it says here.
Oh, 4, that's right.
Okay, well, then, I think
Sorry.
the number that might is 10, depending, if we're putting a facility in, basically the lodging is for the wedding party for most of these.
Yep.
And if we're putting a 6,000 square foot facility in, that could allow for a larger wedding party.
I think 10 is a reasonable number, and the only reason why I'm thinking about it is that our inn provides for 10 rooms.
Yeah,
So that's
Okay.
why I would say 10 is a good number to go with. as well.
okay. Where was that?
Number 8.
The
2A.
third line,
Okay,
Page
it's at the
2.
beginning of the highlight.
Yep.
Thought it was-
right, and then there's a protection in there as well, that we're not gonna allow more than 4 consecutive days of stay.
Oh, no, that's the maximum. Actually, 4, yes. So, and
Yeah.
4 days, and it originally said 4, so we'll change that to 10.
Right. Catch. Okay. Is there anything else that, you think we should be looking at?
Do we want to also address anything about outdoor uses here, as in tents that they might build in the back of the venue
Yeah,
they
and
expend?
outdoor music.
Outdoor music, because that's the next thing they're gonna do, you know, they'll start putting tents out, they'll start building, 200-room dance floors outside, to add on to it outside of it, so I know
Would that
that
all require a building permit?
a temporary structure for an event, I mean, I know that when we were discussing the Millbrook Inn, there was a discussion about that, about permitting for bigger events going on. I was trying to look it up and I couldn't find it in the code, but, we could put something in here that we want everything done inside the facility,
Yeah, that's a smart thought.
just because, then it's similar to we have in for the links. There's a section of the code for golf where there's no systems allowed outside or noise outside of the golf facility. So I'm wondering if that's maybe something that we should look into as well and see.
That could be a big loophole.
Um. Is that something we should include in this, or?
Gotta tackle one at a time.
So I think that's common these days. Go to the golf course, they have a
Right.
huge tent there.
Yeah.
Afterward,
Sure.
wedding, whatever it is.
Yeah, because especially you get on these properties that are up in RD10, you have some beautiful pieces of property.
Right.
People are gonna want them outside. And hey, can we put a tent outside instead of doing it inside? And is it something that we want? Is it something we want to control? Is it something we want to allow and just, make sure it's limited? And if there is an outdoor event that we allow, are we gonna limit the time that it can be up to, considering that this is a residential neighborhood? Those are the avenues we could go with that. Again, it doesn't stop us from moving forward with this. I think it's just a discussion point we can add to the public hearing. And, amend. it.
Well, you can correct me, Jeff, but I was told that we need to have this ironed out
I would rather see this get ironed out first.
before
and then
we
you would
announce a
have to
public
schedule a
hearing,
public
yeah.
hearing. So you're thinking that you may want to address the issue of outdoor facilities, music. Should not have this tonight, get that language in here.
I mean, we could do any outdoor events by permit only.
That's what I was thinking. That would be simple to start with, and that, I guess we could come back to this again. But,
It's nothing's gonna get through a planning process anyway for months and months and months.
Right.
So, an application's gonna come, it's gonna take a few months for it to go through the process. And, in that meantime, we can just hammer out the exact points of that, because we're gonna need George's input on a permit as well. Because if you do an outdoor facility and let's say they hypothetically put a tent outside and use the indoor space, now do you have enough parking? Now you have parking overflow, so, that definitely needs to be addressed. Sorry. I
okay,
didn't think
so,
about that last time.
we eliminated number 6.
Right.
So everyone after that becomes, one number less. So what I will do is add line 14. That any use outside the, structure can only be done by special permit, or is by special permit only.
They're getting a special permit to start with, right?
Right.
So,
But the problem is if we put by permit and in our code, we don't define what that permit is. We could just put permit and then we could later on in our code add what that permit is. I would assume that'd probably be the easier way by maybe an event permit we can create through this process, and we can define event permit later on.
does the town code have a provision for that? Ask that. And some towns,
I don't know offhand either.
you may already have a provision.
For some reason, I
I almost think we
I don't
should check
believe-
into this and get this in a final. Or two changes.
like I said, we talked about it with regards to the Millbrook Inn because we were concerned about the Millbrook Inn doing the same exact thing. And I'm pretty sure that there was a process that George told us, so that they would have to come in front of him for a permit. And the permit would have to be approved by him, and he'd have to go over the parking situation. Because everybody was concerned about parking all along the roads around the Millbrook Inn if they did throw it back.
All right, so do you want to have, want to work on putting that thing together with the outdoor
Yeah, I'll work on
before
it.
we,
I'll call George tomorrow and get some more clarification on it, and then, I'll, and I'll follow up with Jim. Jim was working on this. I'll follow up with him on that.
so, I guess for now, we'll, have a motion to table this.
And
I'll make a motion, we table it for next meeting.
Second on that,
I'll second that.
all in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Oh, nuts. I meant to give you guys chart of what,
I think you did.
did I give it to you?
Yeah, this.
No, the recycling center.
No, there, I had a chart on the recycling center fees that
fees.
the, manager had suggested. And I meant to print that out for you. It's not necessary that we approve that tonight. I will get it to you, for the next meeting. And I thought that we'd make them effective the first of the year.
Good,
Yeah, so
okay.
we got
So,
time.
yeah, we got time. I apologize for that. And then as I mentioned, we discussed at the last meeting, making 30 hours weekly as the, full-time requirement since we're only open 4 days a week. We have a resolution here to that effect. Thanks you. Oh, well, let me ask you this, any discussion on this before we go forward?
The only thing I'm just gonna bring up again that I brought up last time is I just hope this doesn't push a bunch of people to be eligible.
It doesn't.
Benefits, and I know we discussed it doesn't, so
Right.
that's just one thing I want to say.
Yeah, go ahead and read it for me, please.
Resolution number 2024-28, establishing a 30-hour as a standard for full-time employment. Whereas the town of Unionville recognizes the need to clarify and define a full-time employment for the purposes, benefits, and staffing policies. And whereas a consistent definition of full-time employment will promote clarity, fairness for all employees. And whereas after review and consideration, the town board has determined that establishing a standard of 30 hours per week as the definition of full-time employment is in the best interest of the town and its employees. Now therefore be it resolved, the town of Unionville hereby establishes 30 hours per week as the standard for full-time employment effective immediately. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall be communicated to all employees and incorporated into the town's personnel policies adopted this 18th day of September by town.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Bartolome,
Yes.
Councilman Welsh,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier,
Aye,
Councilman McGivney,
Aye.
Councilman Derlin.
Yes.
thank you. Let's see where we're at. Public comment on town issues. Yes, name and address, please.
My name is Jean Moore and I've lived at 5 Darren Road for over 50 years. As many of you know, I have appeared many times to speak to the town board and the residents that tune into the town meetings or who try to keep up with the news by reading the minutes of the meetings. I have always been against the proposal of our town having its own town library, mainly because I believe it will cause a hardship to our residents because of an unbearable increase in our town taxes, especially when library services can be obtained through cooperative agreements with neighboring libraries. Trying to keep an open mind, I decided to cruise the internet or the web to find out how much money our library association has collected through the 6 years they have supposedly been trying to raise money. However, while doing that cruising, I found some additional information that was very enlightening. One website reminded me that we have an election on November 5, and the town residents will have a chance to vote on the question of whether or not they want the town to build the town library. So far, the proposition has no number that I could find. However, that website, LSINFO for UV, which stands for Library Services Information for Unionville, had some background information about voting yes or no for the library proposition. So back to the subject of money being raised by having a 501(c). Guess how much money has been contributed since the 501(c) was initiated in 2018? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. According to tax forms submitted to the IRS and according to a copy of a tax form filed for the year ending in December of 2023, I have a copy to give to the town board tonight of that form on the ProPublica nonprofit Explorer site. I have also seen a copy of a form submitted to the IRS with the same information. To quote the copy of the filing under notable sources of revenue, the sources are contributions, $0. Program services, $0. Investment income, $0. Net fundraising, $0. Sales of assets, $0. Net inventory sales, $0. Other revenue, $0. Then total assets or debts, $0. Nothing. I do not want my taxes to increase when the library fund does not get enough money to cover all the grandiose plans that have been talked about by the previous supervisor and some of the members of the town board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you for your concern, and I understand,
I'm retired. I don't have a lot of money.
and I understand your concern as best as I can. It's a concern that I share as much as my taxes are exceptionally high, and it is a question to me and my family whether we can even afford to stay. I don't fault the town for that. It's mostly school taxes, and it is incredibly burdensome on my family. But with all that, with that said, let's be clear about a few things. First of all, the fundraising effort has only just in earnest, just beginning. The site for the fundraising, communications about the fundraising are less than a month old approximately. It is illogical and foolish to make a fundraising drive when you don't have a charter for a library. With the questions that raised, it's very difficult to go to people and ask them to make donations. So until there was a charter and some other milestones, it was just inappropriate to do significant fundraising or much fundraising at all. So that would explain $0. Yes, it does, because it is
Folks,
still.
this is not a back and forth. Just make your comments.
Thank you, Supervisor. While finances is a genuine concern for the residents, all of us, we also have to consider that we do not have a town center in the classic sense. We do not have a business district in a classic sense. And yet, we want a strong community. And that means servicing the needs of seniors and children and everybody in between and finding ways to bring us together. Now, right now, the library has raised money, obviously has received tax funding, but has spent very little. And most of the money that's been spent has been capital cost or in startup costs. From an operating standpoint, the library costs very little right now. We're in existing space. I see you sort of smirking. We're in existing space that the town already has. And most of what's there was donated, a lot of it. Now, as far as the expansion that you're talking about, that's not going to happen if the funds aren't raised. So to your point, the project that you call lofty plans or however you phrase it doesn't happen until the money's raised. If the money's not raised, we have a facility. When kids are at the park in the playground, if it's a rainy day, maybe they want to come in. Maybe you have a README program. Maybe you have other programs that integrate with the town park. We are not the park. We are an element within the park. We feel that the library can be an asset to the park, to the community at large, and can bring residents together. I think, and I'll end with this because I don't want to be on the soapbox any longer here. As I think that if we all got together and maybe talked about this in a constructive, open-minded way, you might find there's some wonderful things that can happen for families and children in all sorts of ways that don't cost a lot of money. People are doing these programs as volunteers. There's organizations, other entities we can partner with, from Cornell Cooperative to clubs and associations that want to have meetings. You name it. It's a central location in an existing facility that costs us very little to operate. So if you have some thoughts you'd like to discuss one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to talk to you too. And thank you very much for your point of view.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kevin Harrington, 561 Chestnut Ridge Road. The question of the library for the town of Unionville will be answered by the voters this coming election day. It's ludicrous to think that with donations that haven't been gathered at all, amount to zero, that all of a sudden we will have enough money without raising taxes on our residents to provide the same services that could be provided when if we rejoin the Mid-Hudson Library System, which I believe is what the majority of our town residents would like. We would have to build a building rather than expand a very small space to provide anywhere near the services that our residents have had in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. It's one shot is all you get. Well, you got your time. You're allowed to speak once per meeting. Yes, sir.
The Mid Hudson
Name and.
Chuck Richwine, on the Green, Burbank, New York.
Thank you.
It's $100,000 for the Mid Hudson Library Association. Just recently, I went up to SUNY Morrisville. My son went to school. Their bookstore is no longer a bookstore. You don't order your books from the bookstore. It comes from Amazon or it comes electronic. I would urge you to go up to the Millbrook Library so you can sit in there where they have more employees, customers. The Elm Drive Elementary School no longer participates at the Millbrook Library. I know that because my grandson was there. Nowadays, libraries today are nothing more than a community room with a couple of books. All right, community room we already have. We'll have a couple books, saves ourselves $100,000, which to me is a significant amount of money. Maybe to you it isn't. All right. We'll be able to download books like most students are doing today. All right, for $100,000 for the Mid-Hudson Library Association. Why would we spend a nickel for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Richard Ott, 27 Riley Road. Apologize, I haven't been here in a while. I think, Steve, you were going to check out regarding the development, proposed development off of East Knox and Clap Hill Road. I believe you were looking into the counter that somebody put out there.
Right. You had questions about traffic concerns. I wrote to both the New York State DOT and Dutchess County DPW. Neither one of them claimed ownership of the counters, and both have stated that they have nothing in the works for traffic improvement through that area, or at the Route 55 intersection either. That could change in the future if you know, think the traffic demands are increased, but currently there's nothing on the radar.
Thanks for looking into it. And I don't know if the town or if the planning board is the proper place for this, but another accurate measure of traffic there would be a counter between Clap Hill Road and the school because there's so much traffic that comes from 55 into the school and goes back out to 55 without touching that other counter, which was between Jennifer Hill and Charlotte Drive, I believe. So if there's any way that another counter could be added there, that would be great. Would that be something that the planning board could ask the county about, or is this the better forum for that?
I can approach the county about doing the traffic survey. I don't know, how successful I'll be, but I don't mind making that phone call.
Appreciate the effort. Thank you.
And you suggested between the school and Route 55.
Between the school and Clap Hill, maybe.
Okay.
Have you seen a copy of the traffic report that was submitted for the applicant?
No.
Okay, because they probably studied they should have studied, I haven't seen it. They should have studied the Clap Hill intersection. They should have studied 55 intersection. They should have studied Jennifer Hill.
May have been their counters.
Yeah, so it may have been their counters that were out there. So there should have been a traffic study submitted to the planning board. So
Okay.
that I know that application is still has a public hearing open that I think is open for October. So if you want to address the concerns about the traffic, that would definitely be the place to go, because they would be the ones that would have the answers.
Thanks.
So that traffic study, they would look at it, they would adjust it, the engineers would look at it, look at what the calculations were done, see if it suffices and if it makes more traffic in the area. And then that also gets submitted to the county review it as well, and their engineer would give feedback on the traffic as well, especially because it's a county road. So if you have concerns on the traffic, planning board is the way you should go. You can foil a copy of the traffic report, or you can just go ask.
Thank you very kindly. And also regarding the planning board, it's great that the town of Unionville makes these meetings available on YouTube for the whole public. Much is going to be happening with this town through the planning board in the next few years. That's probably going to change the character of this town tremendously forever. Is it possible to get those planning board meetings televised or broadcast through YouTube?
Yeah, our biggest issue has been getting the personnel to run the equipment in that respect. And it's something I can pursue more aggressively because I've had several requests for that. Just, need to find someone that is interested in doing that type
Would
of evenings.
I'm sorry?
I says, need to find somebody to be interested in doing that type of work evenings. And,
Well, they meet, what, once a month or something like that?
yeah, planning board is once a month and then our town board meetings are twice a month. So we'd be looking for someone to cover all the meetings.
Okay.
That would be televised.
Well, it looks like we have personnel right now for the.
Yeah, she's a volunteer.
Thank you. And, well, that was my next question. Would you accept a different volunteer for the planning board?
If there's willing to take the training involved, sure. I don't think there'd be an issue with us having someone helping out.
And also for what it's worth, I agree with the lady and Mr. Harrington about the library issue. Thank you all for your time and attention. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, I will entertain a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Our next meeting will be on October 2nd, 2024. And I entertain a motion to adjourn,
What
please.
about our executive session?
It's going to be attorney-client meeting after this meeting.
All right,
So entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.